And I want to set the scene for you. I grew up in a Christian home. My grandmother taught me to sing hymns basically as soon as I started talking. I accepted Christ at a young age. I was active in church through my preteen years. We went to a teeny Methodist church in like backwoods, North Carolina. And I sang in the choir. I loved Jesus. Like when I was about 11, I wanted to be baptized as my own profession of faith. You know, I knew I had been baptized as a baby, but I didn't choose that. So I wanted to make my own proclamation. I went through confirmation. I was given my very own Bible with my name engraved on the front. And I thought, awesome, I'm going to read the Bible. Well, I sat down and started reading, and it was King James, and I got a page and a half maybe in and thought, okay, I don't know, and just set it on a shelf. It was not surprising for an 11-year-old, and it just kind of collected dust. Well, my dad was a career Marine, and when we moved on base at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, we did not attend a church, but I still love Jesus, and, I thought, Jesus and I are cool, but I didn't have any concept of a faith that involved real life transformation. And probably no one on the outside could tell the difference because I was a super good kid. I mean, like, overachieving, authority-pleasing, academic award-winning, just like boringly good kid. And my mom is actually here today. She will totally vouch for me on that if you want to ask her after. And in fact, I was so good for so many years, my parents didn't think they needed to talk to me about alcohol or sex or peer pressure or anything like that, because, you don't have to worry about that with Little Miss Perfect, right? It's just not a problem. Which brings me to an aside for all the moms in the room. Please, please talk to your kids about tough issues. I don't care how good they are, how good their grades are, how nice their friends are, whatever. Like, they need to hear from you on tough issues. They will hear about these things. Everything from alcohol, drugs, sex, peer pressure, all of it. They will be exposed to the pattern of this world. And they will either go with the flow or have the fortitude to live in a countercultural way that honors God. So it's up to you to make your perspective known and equip them to make good decisions. And they need to know that they can come to you about these issues. You have to keep those communication lines open. So there's my little parenting soapbox. I'm single, I'm not a parent, but that's for all you parents out there, okay? So unfortunately, in my case, that communication just wasn't happening. I had a very belated teenage rebellion my senior year in high school. My hormones finally kicked in with a vengeance. I started doing some social drinking, had a crush, got my first boyfriend, and quickly became a physical relationship. The combination of hormones and alcohol, not good. And with no authority influence telling me in my life about the importance of saving sexual intimacy for marriage, by the time graduation rolled around, eventually sex seemed like the natural next step. He said he loved me, I thought that made it okay. We both went to the University of Virginia, continued our relationship. By the end of my first year in college, I had a 4.0 GPA. And then one day, my world came crashing down when I discovered I was pregnant. And although I believed abortion was absolutely wrong, I felt completely trapped. I was ashamed, I was terrified. There was no choice. Like, I had to just make it go away. Like, this could not be my reality. And my boyfriend felt the same way. A teen pregnancy did not fit with his life plan either. Like so many women, I struggled for years with regret and self-condemnation after the abortion. My time on All My Children Yes, it was the catalyst for the eating disorder and the depression, but my guilt was certainly the root cause. I struggled through my 3 years on the show, and when my contract was up, I relocated to Los Angeles, where there was more acting work to be had. And I was so desperate for God by that point. My very first Sunday in LA, I went to a Calvary Chapel church, and the warmth and love in that room just like washed over me. And the message was on the year of Jubilee, which is the year in Jewish tradition when slaves are set free. And I couldn't believe how much that message was for me. You know, when you have that happen, you're like, oh my gosh, the pastor's reading my mail. Like, how did he know? That was exactly what I needed to hear. And, you know, what a revelation. I mean, wait, there's more than just the King James Bible. And oh my gosh, the Bible actually has application for my life. Like, what? This was completely revolutionary information. So I started learning and growing and finally understood what it meant to be born again, living for God, not myself or others. I got baptized for rededication. And, you know, I thought now that I was giving my life to God, my depression and eating disorder would be a thing of the past. Because, I mean, that's how that works, right? You follow Jesus and everything else is just all peachy keen. Yeah, not necessarily. I struggled for a couple more years before I finally sought treatment. I started seeing a therapist, a psychiatrist, a nutritionist, any kind of ist that could possibly help me. I was like, sign me up. And as I started getting better, I realized I needed some kind of recovery to specifically deal with the abortion. I wasn't sure what, but I had to deal with that somehow because I knew God forgave me, but I couldn't forgive myself. The guilt had become a yoke of slavery for me. I couldn't be claiming life in Christ while I was constantly condemning myself. Galatians 5:1 became my life verse. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. I realized that Jesus hadn't just died for my sin to pay the price for my salvation, to have eternity with God in heaven, as awesome as that is, like an infomercial. But wait, there's more. He actually died for us to be able to live in freedom in this life. I love John 10:10 in the Amplified Translation. Jesus says, I came that they may have and enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full till it overflows. Jesus came to give us that kind of life and joy and freedom. He said so himself. So if we're not experiencing it, something's wrong. Like there's a disconnect. And we must refuse to settle for anything less than everything Jesus died for us to have. So I was determined to reach this promised land of life and joy and freedom. But how on earth do I get there? Like, that was the big question. Could someone give me a roadmap? That'd be great. Well, in a church small group, God brought exactly the right person into my life, as he is so faithful to do if we will go where he leads us. She was the director of the local pregnancy resource center, which is a ministry that provided free pregnancy tests, counseling, resources, including post-abortion recovery. I signed up for their next post-abortion Bible study, and God worked through that group to truly change my life. The book we used was called Forgiven and Set Free. And by the end of those 12 weeks, as painful as they were, I truly was forgiven, fully forgiven, completely free. And that was when Galatians 5:1 became not only my life verse, but my life's mission. When you are free, you have to tell people about it.